So, we talked about the chip gap, we talked about the bright streaky lines, and we talked about the black spot in the middle. So now, now that we've talked about all that and why this image looks the way it is, now we're going to get started. So I've opened up the file. I have not switched it to RGB, which we don't need to do that for a little bit. The image grayscale will need to be changed to RGB in order to colorize the layers. There's only one layer in this. So do this by clicking on Image, which you can't see me do, Mode, RGB. You probably didn't see a change, but it's in RGB now instead of black and white or grayscale. So, pull up my tutorial. Yay! Hooray! Alright, so pull up my tutorial. So we've done that. And now we are to adjust levels. And first view, this says, first view the image is very dark, da 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 da. So I should have, so we pull up the levels by going color, levels, and then I can see it, but you can't. There we go. And I don't like how this looks right here. This is very squished up. From what I could tell, it's set to linear. So I'm going to change it to logarithmic. They don't tell you to do that in the tutorial. I was playing around yesterday and discovered that was the best thing. So what we want to do now is to adjust it to bring out more brightness without over saturating things and without getting a lot of artifact noise. Thank you, Walker! So if I slide it all the way this way, if I slide the middle thing all the way this way, you can see that it just gets washed out, terribly washed out. Walker, I'm disappointed that there's no corgi emote for you. So I'm gonna just hit reset to go back to that. And if I, come on. If I drag it the other way, I can make it pretty dark and we can only see the brightest things. I'm gonna hit reset again. So we want to see more. But the fact that there's, you know, the bottom cutoff is all the way over here, is all the way over here. I don't like that. So I'm going to adjust the bottom one to bump everything up just a little bit. And going to do the same for the top. I do not have Streamlabs open, Paranor. I can do that, I think? No, I don't think it needs to be. I don't have Streamlabs set up to do anything special on the screen when there are bits that happen. I will eventually do that. It could be the animated emojis too. Well, thank you for joining us, Astro. I appreciate it. I understand the frustration, and in a couple weeks this shouldn't be so bad. So thanks and take care. Quit breaking stuff. So, this is very frustrating not being able to tell if I'm buffering or not. I should probably have myself on the PlayStation. Because I don't want to go too far ahead. See? That's J. That's J, not Joe. Oh my god. Oh, cool. Yay! This is good. Good to know. All right. Walker, Joe, I love you both very much. Please, no more bits. Please. For the duration of my stream, please do not donate bits. My CPU is not happy at all. Okay, so I've adjusted the ends, and I'm going to play around with the middle. That is definitely too much. But there is like this nice wispy feature right here that I don't think is an artifact. But it's very difficult for me to be all like, alright, this is it. So, just enough to get that. Come on, you can do it. So I'm gonna go there. It doesn't look too washed out right there. Hooray! So we're done with our levels. Click OK. Put my levels window away. And yeah, I might have to try messing around with my because my original setup is like 1080 by something, but I'm scaling it down, and then I have a thing. So I might just bump it all the way down to 480 to match what I'm going, you know, my out name thing is. Yes, Jay. That's why they were confused. They totally thought the other Joe was you. I knew better. Alright, so we've adjusted the levels. And now we are going to smooth out this graininess by applying a smoothing algorithm. And we can do that a couple of ways. And I think I actually forgot to make a little window for my filters. So we'll just kind of go along. The first way we can do this is just with a plain old Gaussian blur. So that's in filters. Give me 1 second. Blur, Gaussian blur, and see if I can quickly oh, it doesn't show a good preview. For whatever reason, it doesn't scale, so we'll just put it towards the middle. And they had suggested something like a 2 pixel radius. And it fuzzes it out, smooths it out a little, but I don't like how it looks. We can do better. So I'm going to close that again. I'm going to hit cancel. And now we're going to pull out the big guns. So this is gmic qt. And set up my stuff again so you can see it. And there we go. Joe asks, now Annie, we all know the moon is not made of green cheese, but if it were made of barbecue spare ribs, would I eat it then? Yes. Yes, I would totally eat the moon then. Because, you know, spare ribs. Hello, more people that kind of slid in and are all quiet. Let's see. Tom, I'm not sure if... I think Tom was here before. Virgo Pros, hello. Akmadzaki, I'm sorry if I slaughtered that. Astro YYZ, Commander Root, Linnies, hello. Oh, and Skyless is now hosting me? Thank you. Okay, so, back to the smoothing. The version of gmic that we're using is newer than the one in the tutorial. And they've changed the name of it. So instead of it being called Grace Duration, it is now the Ansiotropic Smoothing, which is what I've selected. Hi Astro YYZ, I am using GIMP 2.8. The industry standard is indeed Photoshop, but I am running Linux on a potato. And because I am running Linux on a potato, I cannot run Photoshop. So, we're just rolling with GIMP. I'm going to turn on preview for this. We're going to do forward horizontal. So the above bit up here, the top bit is before, and the bottom bit is what it looks like after. And actually, let me duplicate so we can see the same portion of the image and how it's affected by the filter. So it has indeed smoothed everything out. isn't grainy, but it has these little wobbles. And I'm going to see if I can remember how I got rid of those little wobbles. And apparently, bumping up value precision will do it. Hi, Pamela! Pamela is Star Strider. So I'm going to just adjust this to get rid of all the little wobbles. Come on, computer. I know you're a potato, but we can do this. Alright, so I pretty much like how that looks above and below. It smoothed it out. How do you have a half of a coffee? Does that mean you're still drinking the second coffee? So yeah, I like how this looks. It got rid of the little wobbles. Eventually I will probably investigate exactly what these settings do so I can be all, this setting does this, so we're going to change this exactly. I'm running a baked potato. I am. I turned on the air conditioning, so maybe it'll make my computer a bit happier. Alright, so since I like that, we're just going to click OK. It'll take a little bit to process. I'm CosmoQuest X. It does make a lousy computer, and this is going to sit and process for a little bit. So for those that don't know, my computer is a potato, as you may have guessed. And my birthday is within this next week. So I'm going shopping to get the rest of my components. Which Walker and Joe are very, very excited about because I have not been able to play computer games with them. Ta-da! My computer's done processing, and now it looks fuzzy. So, let's see if I can pull up. And I've pulled up what they feel like their finished, or what they had as their finished image. Potato salad. My computer's a potato salad now, Walker. I'm going to go with that. And now Walker's just going to be distracting and go on with all the different potatoes that my computer is. But yes, within the next week I should have all of the components to build my new computer. So by July, we shouldn't be in buffering purgatory. Okay, cool. So we've smoothed everything out. And it looks like a pretty little fuzzy little proper cloud. And the next step, according to the tutorial, is artifact cleanup. Here's the deal with the artifact cleanup. This is very, very tedious to do. They want you to use, and you know, you should use the healing tool to get rid of the chip gap, which is this black line, and to get rid of the photon streak, which is this lighter line. I don't feel like we have enough time to do all of that. So, we will see. Okay. So, you may have missed it earlier, Astro YYZ. Hooray! Latency has dropped. So, Astro YYZ. This black line, which I zoomed in on my computer, but it apparently did not zoom in on the other thing. Properties. There we go. So, this black dot is just a... How did I describe this earlier? There are so many photons, light bits, coming out of this black dot that the sensor is overloaded and just say, nope, that's all, that's it. Kind of like if you have a really kind of basic rice cooker. After some point, on mine I just press down for cook. After some point it pops up and says, no, I'm not going to cook anymore. It has to be kept on warm. So many photons had came out of this spot that the processor was like, nope, I'm not going to collect any data here. So this black spot should really be white. It should be the whitest part of the image. But it's not. So that's one of the things we are going to fix for the artifacts. The black line is a chip gap. I have a feeling that Chandra has two CCDs that are right next to each other, but they're not touching, so there's a small gap between the two, but data gets collected on both panels. So one is one part, and one is the other part, and unfortunately there's a black line through the image. I know on Hubble, when they do observations, they try to eliminate this essentially by waiting for everything to rotate a little bit and taking a series of images so they get the missing pixels from where the chip gap had essentially be like, here's no data. And the white line right here is just a streak of photons. Yes, Guido, they actually want me to Photoshop all of this stuff out. But this white streak is like when you take a picture with your camera and you see streaks of sun. It's essentially the same thing. It's just the pixels gave up. I like that. But yeah, the white streak is just extra photons just scattering across the CCD. I think there was another question earlier. Or... Yes, yes. Will work for bits. Oh, noes. I am catching up on chat right now. I did not realize that the building was on fire next door to Matt. That's terrifying. What's also terrifying is... No, it's not just a black hole. The pixels have just like, nope, there's too much info. We give up. I'm going to zoom in a bit more. And the dogs have been very well behaved, but there are extra dogs here today. So I apologize in advance. So how we're going to get rid of this black hole, where the pixels were just like, nope, we've had enough. We're literally going to select them and turn them white. It's not going to be the prettiest job. It may not be accurate. The tutorial does not say how they do it. The tutorial is just like, yeah, we did this. You need to do this. Which is kind of frustrating when you're like, well, how did you do it? They just say carefully paint it white. I am amused at the laser command. So I've used the ellipse select tool, and I've gone ahead and just selected the area around the black dot. I've switched so that white is my foreground color and black is my background color, because for whatever reason GIMP starts off with them background with them switched. And I've selected the bucket tool, and we're going to use the fill mode as, yeah, we'll leave it as normal. And instead of fill similar colors, which actually I'll do that just so you can see, it just leaves a white hole. And if I misclick, actually this isn't doing as bad as I thought it would. Before, when I did this, I had misclicked and totally got other swaths just all whited out. So I think I saw Larry pop on. Hello, microplastics, which is, when you think about a terrifying thing and yet a cool username. So yes, hello Larry. I'm going to have my new computer, or not my new computer. I'm going to have my computer finished soon, Larry. You want to know what? This went much better than I expected it to. It really did. So I'm going to zoom out. When I was messing with this yesterday, it was not nearly as nice. Select none. So I have a really large white dot compared to the image that they have, but I don't care. Where is this black hole? Is the black hole actually imaged? The black hole in the image is not actually a black hole. It was just where everything was so intense that the pixels were like, yep, we give up. We give up. So where the black hole was supposed to be where the image is supposed to be whitest, but I kind of made the hole too big. So I'm going to see if I can kind of soften this out. Maybe I'll be successful. Hello, Larry. I'm just using the blur tool here to kind of smooth out my white circle. If we zoom out, alright, it still looks kind of terrible, but not as terrible. Astro YYZ, you probably spammed it out a little too much. So my black hole, white hole is now way bigger. I could take the time and try to dampen it down a bit more, but for the sake of time constraints and the fact that this is a tutorial and I'm learning the tools and I'm not going to be using this for anything else, we're just going to skip it. We are, however, going to... Ooh, there's the clone and then there's the heal. If you delete the stream alerts, people can't toast your computer with alerts. Yes, Larry, it is the Crab Nebula Pulsar. Pamela, I have no idea what that means, and we'll probably talk about all of that later. So, we've fixed, for lack of a better term, all the potato comments are so amusing. We fixed, for lack of a better term, the black hole. And now we're going to kind of fix, but not really. We're going to kind of fix the, these white things. These streaks of photons that have escaped everything else. So I'm using the heal tool here. I probably could also use the clone tool. So I'm going to control click to get my reference point, and then actually I might want the clone tool here. Alright, I'm switching to the clone tool because we're just erasing. So control click, and boom! Ah! All data from telescopes, as far as I know, I'm not sure I understand your question. All data from telescopes comes down as black and white. Well, really, grayscale images. Oh, maybe I should have... You know, I can still use the healing tool here. My monitors have different contrasts. So I'm looking over to my other screen at what I'm... And then I see that it wasn't really black there. It just seemed like it was. I thought about switching it Paranor, but I wasn't sure. I don't actually think when we zoom out that we'll be able to see that I erased a bunch of stuff. Nah. It kind of is, and I feel like I'm stumbling over myself sometimes. But that's just how it goes. On my own channel, I have streamed me working from work, where I actually do have a webcam. And it's, when people get chatty and I'm trying to focus on something, it's just very frustrating. If my computer was a pineapple, I would eat it because I really like pineapples. You know, I like doing this better with the clone tool. Actually, no, we'll go back to using the healing tool. Oops. I'm not sure if changing the opacity is going to make it any easier. I really like this is not doing what I want it to do. So back to the clone tool. I know that I'm probably going to lose some fuzziness, but I really don't care about that because I want the streak gone. I really, really like pineapple, and I have some in my fridge right now. It was meant to be grilled on Memorial Day, and that just never happened. So I might like pan fry it or something. Put it into a smoothie. Okay. 100. Alright, so yeah, we can see that I've made a bit of a dent in the photon rays, and that's essentially how you do it, is use either the clone tool or the healing tool to get rid of all of the streaks. I'm not even going to attempt to do it with the chip gap because I'm going to be a perfectionist and it's going to bother me. So unfortunately, our finished tutorial image is going to have lines in it. That's just how it rolls. No! No! Please, no! Nobody donate any bits. Walker and Joe, I'm looking at you. Don't do it. My personal channel is Binary Ablaze. But I have to kind of... I try not to stream when CosmoQuest is streaming. Or when somebody is streaming on CosmoQuest because I know there's overlap. Okay, so we've cleaned up, in quotation marks, the artifacts because I knew we wouldn't have enough time to finish it. And now we're down to a splash of color. So let's read this real quick. As a broadband image, you would typically apply a single gradient map of color to show the X-ray intensity. So, here we go. Play with the color selections to find a hue that you like. Broadband and X-ray images are usually portrayed in blue, but it can be a matter of taste. There are specific what's the word I'm looking for? Color palettes for some of these images, and we'll get into that later. And so, pull that away. So now I'm going to go to colors, which you can't see. Colorize. Boom! There's a color that they say they use 220. What happened? Oh, I unclicked preview. So they use 220 as their hue. And we can play with saturation and lightness a little bit. Now, saturation literally is how strong the color is. We could totally oversaturate this image. So, here in this image, with it totally oversaturated, the whitest parts are there where the my poor potato. The whitest parts are the strongest X-rays, and the darkest bluest is the lowest X-ray intensity. So I'll click reset, which won't put it back to the same thing. And actually add a little bit of color, or add a little bit of saturation, but not too much. No! Click. And I'm going to call it good there. Yes, order something from the wish list, because on this wish list are things like really nice webcams. Okay. I'm calling it there. Not quite the finished image that they produced from the tutorial, because they took the time to make their little white spot not look humongous, and they took the time to remove the artifacts, but that's the basic gist of this. Next week, I have to actually think about this. Next week is the 10th, so we will do... Oh no! Return to open fits page. So next week I am going to do create a multi-wave composite image using GIMP with M101. And that's going to take images from Chandra, Galax, Hubble, and Spitzer, and we're going to layer them all up and see what we get compared to what they get. And yes, if you want to fire the potato cannons, the lasers, the bit cannons, now is your time. Because I have 1 minute to the hour, and yeah, I'm pretty much done. I'll see you all next week. Thanks for tagging along and putting up with my potato computer. And probably by next weekend, I